Hello, YouTube. So 2 days ago, or maybe even it was yesterday, I don't remember. There was this article in the paper about Iran, in the New York Times about Iran. Now, typically, the New York Times is looked at like it's a pretty liberal paper, right? I'm sure everybody out there would agree with that. And what was so interesting about this article is that it pretty much painted Iran as the next place that we should invade, right? And here's the scary thing. If you were to substitute the word Iran every time in that article with the word Iraq, it would literally be the same articles that were running 5.5 years ago in the paper, or maybe even 6 years ago in the paper, to demonize Iraq and say, oh, we need to stop them, they're going to have weapons of mass destruction, they might already have weapons of mass destruction, we need to do something about this is terrible, so on and so forth. And here's the thing that really scares the shit out of me. There has not been a single U.S. senator or congressman or anybody that I've seen, or even a voice in the mainstream media, that has spoken out against this demonization of Iran. And here's why that's scary. Recent history shows, with the war in Iraq, that people should constantly be questioning these demonization stories of, oh, this place is just pure evil. We must do something to stop this place, right? Nobody's doing it. Not a single person is doing it, okay? I don't know if you guys remember, but not too long ago, Bush made a speech that said that even if Iran gets the knowledge of nuclear weapons, we need to do something to stop them, right? Just the knowledge, he said in his speech. Now, what he didn't tell you, though, was that according to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is something that they signed into, they're allowed to have that knowledge for nuclear power plants to create energy for their citizens. Right? They're allowed to have that. But with the constant sanctions against Iran from the U.S., we're saying you can't even have that. Okay? The International Atomic Energy Agency, the leader of the International Atomic Energy Agency, has stated over and over, definitively, that there is not a single shred of evidence for a nuclear weapons program in Iran. And yet we're still running these articles in our papers and hearing it on the mainstream media over and over, that they're this threat that we need to do something about ASAP. Right? Why is this stuff not getting out there? Why don't we hear this? There are certainly two sides of this debate, right? And we don't hear two sides of this debate. Now, not only that, but name one thing that Iran has done to America. One thing. I'll sit here and wait for it. I mean, you could email it to me, you could send it to me in a YouTube message, you could leave it in the comment section. One thing that Iran has done to America that could, in one way or another, lead to a military action that we should have against them. One thing. Okay? And don't use the argument that they're funding terrorists in Iraq, because that's been proven to be not true. Okay? If anything, Saudi Arabia, there's much more evidence of Saudi Arabia, who's our ally, funding terrorists in Iraq, okay? 15 of the 19 hijackers on 9/11 were from Saudi Arabia. So don't use that argument. It doesn't work. It's wrong. It's fallacious. Not true. Now, something that most people don't know is that from 2004 to 2006, Iran actually agreed to stop enriching all uranium. In other words, even the nuclear energy plants that they had to provide energy for their citizens, they agreed to stop enriching uranium at those places too. And they did this in a treaty with the European Union. And what they got in return was a guarantee from the European Union that they would have full security guarantees. That's just a fancy way of saying, make sure that America doesn't threaten us or doesn't attack us. Right? That was 2004 to 2006. Now, the European Union wasn't able to make sure that the U.S. didn't threaten Iran, so they pulled out of the treaty. Now, who's in the wrong in that situation? I don't think Iran is. They made a treaty, a peaceful treaty, with Europe to say, make sure America doesn't fuck with us anymore. And Europe didn't hold up their end of the bargain, so they backed out. And they said, fuck that. We're going to enrich uranium. Not only that, but does it really even matter if Iran gets weapons of mass destruction? Bet you never heard anybody say that before, right? Listen. We're the country that overthrew a parliamentary democracy there in 1953 and propped up a dictator to serve our own interests. Okay? We spend $400 billion a year on military expenditures. That's more than the next 45 countries combined. Right? We have 737 military bases in places all around the world. We've invaded 40 countries since 1953. And little rinky-dink Iran, if they get a nuclear weapon, what are they going to use it against us? That's our argument, that they're going to use it. We live in the age of shoot first and die second. That old adage of shoot first and die second when it comes to nuclear weapons is true. In other words, Iran knows if they launch a nuclear weapon at us, we launch one right back at them. And everybody dies and nobody wins. Right? I mean, you may not agree with the leader of Iran, or maybe clearly not even the leader of America, but they're not idiots in the sense that they'll just fucking launch a nuclear weapon and say, oh, well, we had to do it. Not today, not in this day and age. Everybody dies. Right? Iran is not stupid. Okay? And the picture that's being painted of Iran is that they're this pure evil, terrorist haven state that we need to attack ASAP. In other words, the same picture is being painted of them as was painted of Iraq. And we all know what happened with Iraq. Right? So, think about this shit, America, because it drives me crazy, and I really hope I'm not the only one seeing the obvious hypocrisy in the mainstream story, the mainstream version of shit. Thanks for watching. This is Secular Talk.